Okay. So I think the thing that I like most about Red Dead Redemption is like it just gives you fucking space to fucking think. Like you really don't get that sense of nature in a big city like Chicago, like in where I grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma. You don't really get that. You don't really get to see the trees and just feel nature itself. You're usually just surrounded by other humans, and when some nature does come up, people are afraid of it, like rats. Bro, they'd be so afraid. Bees, damn, you hear them screaming, bees, fuck, get them out! But you know, if you're more closely intertwined with nature, you just get a sense of perspective and a reflection of yourself. Because out in nature, even out, even if it's just in a city, like in a city setting, nature is vital to your reflection and, sense of self. Evolutionary, we grew up, we were raised in nature. We weren't raised in these concrete cities of dust and fucking cars every single where, causing stress for everybody, not even useful for anything, making everything further than it needs to be. Man, we used to be like villages actually. But that's a whole nother tangent. We're talking about this power of Red Dead Redemption, the very fact that this game just helps me connect with myself, a reflection of myself. Because when you see yourself in another animal's eyes, when you see their lives, it's just amazing. A fox hunting a little rabbit, a coyote hunting deer, a cougar hunting you. It's just amazing to see those reflections of survival. Your survival, their survival. It's amazing to see play out. And right in front of you, you can see right where you stand. Right where everything stands in those little moments of life and death. Where you're unsure who will win out, the fleer or the pursuer. The sense of self and the sense of death. Or rather, the fear of death. Who will win out? We all know who wins in the end. But these emotions that help us carry on are in the forest, in the trees, in the blades of grass that you step on and see, in the air that we breathe. Man, how I miss the air that the trees produce. It's a type of smell that I can't describe. You just can't describe smells to everything. You just can't. It's a certain aroma, a certain sense, a certain place that makes those scents real. And it's out there, outside, where you won't really get the sense unless you go out and reflect on other beings, on other objects, on other places of living. That's why I want to get out of Chicago for a little bit. I'm getting tired of feeling this constrained. Although I don't really want to rough and tumble out in the forest without, proper gear and stuff like that, and proper rations. That stuff is really hard to do. And Red Dead Redemption just really solidifies that it's so hard to live like this. How far we came as a civilization, how far away we are from our roots, that going back to just camping out and hunting, it's so foreign to us now. We get everything. Well, not everything, because we still have to work, but we get our basic necessities just easily given. Not freely given, mind you. Easily gotten. Because you can make shelter anywhere, really. You just gotta be worried about getting caught. Yeah, well, it's basically you just going back to how you once were, getting a little taste, because anybody can jump you. Any animal can jump you. And even the weather can jump you. All these unknown factors to you are going out against you, apparently. At least in your mind, anyway. That you feel most safe, being in a crowd, or at least in an illusion of crowd. Like, I see this guy close to where I live. He lives in a tent next to the train tracks. And he gets this sense of self reflecting from him from these cars. He gets a sense of safety from these other objects who he assumes are people, which really they are just automatons in boxes going to their destination, not really viewing anything really. And that's what really makes me sad, because cars are really a disconnect from everything, from the weather, from your environment, from the people. You just don't get any chance to really reflect on yourself at all. You can't even zone out and think about yourself for a little bit. You'll get into a fucking car crash, dumbass. It's just not the same as, being yourself, being by yourself. You know, even if they're not even talking to you, just a mere look can just send waves throughout your own mind, reminding you that you aren't alone in your own damn head, that you are actually real. There's this sense of this balance, actually, of nature and sociality is what I miss about Oklahoma. Because you can just go out and fuck around and go into a fucking trail park and live there if you want to. Get your car and go out to leave. Trail parks, depending on where you go, it's gonna be surrounded. At least the ones I went to when I was growing up were surrounded by forests, trees, or some sort of nature of some kind. Or at least some amount of empty open space where not a lot of cars came through. Yeah, it was really peaceful. Noise was really minimal. You didn't have to worry about it all like that. I miss not worrying about it at all. Although I do miss going outside. Although I have missed going outside. What's what I meant. I'm not a kid anymore, I just miss being young and being able to just go outside and absorb, the information. Because when you're young, you don't have that information of the world. You're still learning and growing, and what's really sent your mind when you're young is those special instances where you're learning and growing and reflecting on these objects, these animals, onto yourself. Because our ancestors, they really thought about thinking, just like you think about thinking sometimes, not to get all existential on you. But he thought about it and reflected on it and started making stories, starting building objects, starting building objects around those stories and becoming intertwined in those stories because we are stories. We are stories and reflections of reflections. We are nature that is nature. Although we have thought we've conquered it, we haven't. We certainly haven't. Taking a look at all this shit outside, you can see it happening already. Have you ever seen an empty house? Just nothing there? No one living there? You've certainly seen the plants taking over it. Unless somebody was caring for it, that building will be gone in the next 20 or something years. You wouldn't see it the same way. Trees would have taken it over. 50 years from then, all traces, almost all traces anyway, would be engulfed, gone. Whoever lived there, you had to dig through to find anything. So all in all, I wish we could have more opportunities to reflect more. Because really, all we really want in life is to be seen and heard and helped. To reflect on ourselves again and again. Even if it's just for self-satisfaction.